let's see something interesting called literals here. So what exactly we mean by literals? So literals is something like we can say just a value, and if you want to keep that value fixed and later want to just check it, so we just call it as a literal. For example, it's a number literal or a string literal. Let's quickly try to understand with an example here. So I'm just trying to create a variable here for HTTP method. So what is this HTTP method? So if you are from a backend coding background or something, you might be knowing get, post, put, all these methods and everything. So there is something variable called HTTP methods, and here the method can be get, or it can be post, or put. So these are the possibilities so that we know. Fine. Sure. So what I'm going to do here, so if I'm writing a get method here, that's perfectly okay, no problem. But people can do a spelling mistake here and can make it like this. People can make a spelling mistake and make it like this. Okay. So if you want to compulsory fix some literals here, what could be the literal valued allowed here for this particular variable? So you can define the literal data types. How it will work? So here, generally we mention it as a string. So instead of mentioning as a string, this HTTP method is not only a string. It must be a get, or it must be a post, or it must be a put. This is exactly similar to the one we have written previously. Let me comment out the previous one. So this is my variable name and this is my data type. So here the data type is saying that there are three options I have given you, three literals options I have given you, and you can use anyone out of it to fill up the value inside this particular variable. So I'm using the get one. And here it was a string, and here it is a union, and it's giving a three different literal option as a data type. Now, if I do a small spelling mistake here, immediately it start complaining me because the allowed values are only these three literals. Perfect. Okay, so let's try to quickly understand this with an example. So let me create a function here called function handle request. Let's say we are calling some backend REST APIs from our front-end application. So this is my URL, which I'll just call something like a string now for now. And what's a method? And this method should be merged out of this particular three. And here I'll say calling. Let me just put inside the bucket and calling the URL. And I'll also try to write using what method we are calling this. Okay. Handle request. So let's say I want to call http://google.com using so it's giving me three different options. I can call google.com with get, post, and put. I want to call with a get. Again, I want to call Google with a post. Again, if I do any spelling mistake here, it will not allow me because only these three values are allowed for this second parameter. Let's see the outcome. Getting. So in this way, if you want to restrict the values that you're putting into any particular variable or the input parameters, so you can do that with literals and it will really help in real-time application. Also, let's also quickly try to understand one more real-time application. You might have seen the compare function before this many times, which will give you the output 0, -1 or +1, 0 when both are equal. It will give you +1 when the first string is greater than second, and -1 when the second string is the bigger than the first one. So let's try to create the similar function over here. Compare. I'll just compare s1 string and s2. And right now I'll just say number as an output for this. And here I'll just say return if s1 equals to s2, I would like to return 0 because both are equal. If that is not the case, or to make it more simple, I'll also write with if else statement instead of ternary operator here. So I want to return 0, else I want to compare S1 is bigger than S2. If that is the case, then I should return 1. If that is not the case, I would like to return 0. And this is what exactly similar we can do with the ternary as well. Let's try to do with ternary. So the people who are comfortable with the ternary operator can also proceed with that. It's just a shorthand, nothing else. So this is a true statement. Now let's come back to the false statement and compare S1 is greater than S2. So in that case, I want to return 1, or else I want to return -1. So both are acceptable. So for now, I'll just using the below one and commenting the above one. Okay, so console, I'm giving two parameters. So I'll give ABC and ABC. What should be the output? It should give us 0. ABC, ABC, what's going wrong here? Oh, sorry. We need to call. I just did a console here. Compare ABC and ABC. We are not. Oh, my mistake. So the compare is returning some output to us, right? So we must console it. So we are calling a compare and giving two parameters, is performing some certain operation and giving us some number as an output for this particular operation. So we should get 0 here. Yes, because both are equal. So we are getting 0. Let's try to make the second string as a bigger one now. We are getting -1 because the second string is bigger as compared to the alphanumeric comparison. It's a second is the bigger one. So we are getting this -1. And let's try to make the first one as a bigger one now. We are getting +1. If you clearly observe, the output of this particular function is always fixed. It is either 0, 1, or -1. So giving here the return type as number doesn't make sense. It's not correct to give it as a number. So instead of number, what I can say here, I can say it will give you 0 or 1 or -1. So this is again the literal types we are using over here, we can say. So this will also help us in upcoming comparison. Let's say, for example, uh, you're doing a quick comparison here. If let results equals to, and if you just hover your cursor over here at the results, you can see it is saying that it can only have a value of 0, 1, and the -1. So when you write large code, so it will help you, and many libraries also, if you found, it will you can find these literal data types are used to restrict the values that they are putting in particular variables that you can see.